and welcome back to yet another video of our food app series. So previously what we did is that we implemented the auth functionality. So basically the first feature, the auth feature, is now ready. We have implemented everything that is needed. But there were some cases where basically the app was crashing, right? When like let's say if the user fails to register, in that case the app was crashing, and if there are like some sort of configuration issues. For example, let me just run the code and show you what I am talking about. So just get back to the code. So now over here, let's see, we are on a auth screen, and as soon as I click on this Google button, it just crashes, right? So the problem with this is that, let's say if I show you over here, it says that the client ID was empty, that's why it's crashing, and it should not crash because we should be able to handle it properly, right? Second thing is that, let's say when the API call, the backend request is being made and there is some sort of issues, in that case as well the app is crashing. So what we will do is that we'll remedy that in this video, and we'll make sure that our app is now able to handle different cases, different edge cases, and based on different edge cases we show a proper error dialog in the screen. So let's just get started. So the first thing that we need to do over here is that we will be going to our data section over here, in this data section over here. And now inside this data section, we'll create a new package. Now let's call that remote, right? And then inside this remote package, let's create a class and call it API response. That is going to be a generic class. So that's one thing. And now over here inside this API response, what we will do is that we will call it sealed class API response. Okay. And that is going to be something like this. That's one thing. So what we did over here is that we created an API response that is a generic API response. The T is basically the response object, that can be anything. So for success case, it's going to be the API response of that file. Second thing is going to be the error case, and then for data class, so for error, what I'm gonna do is that you can just create something with something like this, but I'm not gonna do that because I need some extra things, and I need to have some sort of extra functionality. So basically what we will do is that, let's say we will be using a format message, and it's not gonna be overrided function, so we'll just use something like this. Secondly, we don't need this exception like this. What we will do is that we will be using a code that is going to be an integer code and a message that is going to be a string. These are important. That is going to be something like code, and right, we're gonna say something like this, right? Okay, so that's what it should be. We can just remove something like this, which means now we will be we'll getting a code and a message from there. And there is one more thing, and that is, let's call that an exception. So in case if there is like other than that, not error and something like that, we can use that, right? The next thing that we will do is that we will create a function that will basically handle all these things, right? So let's call it function and call it, okay, that's going to be this. Now let's call it safe API call. Okay, and make sure that that is basically a response object from the OK HTTP, so that we can use it. Now let's call it response is equals to API call dot invoke. Okay, now that's something that we will get, or it should not be response. Let's call it res. Now over here what we will do is that if res dot is successful, which means now the case was successful, we will be doing something like this. Else we will say that, okay, there was some error, like if there is like any sort of error code, we will be passing that. And if this everything crashes in some other ways, like if there is like a something that is not handled over here properly, for that we will be using this exception. Okay, now this means that basically if there is any sort of error, it will handle it properly with the safe API call. If the API fails, it will not crash. In fact, it will handle that and give us a proper error message. Now we will go to the base auth view model where we are making these web calls, and I've also given you an assignment to do that, since I'm not sure. So now over here, what we will do is that rather than making these requests directly, like over here, what we will do is that we'll make it as a safe API call. And what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna make it a separate call. So let's say function on sorry, fetch food app token, right? And it's gonna give us a couple of things. For example, it's gonna say it's gonna give us a token that is going to be an access token, right? Then it's gonna give us a provider, and also along with the provider, in return, what we will do is that we will say on error, that is going to be a string that we will pass back, and that is going to be soon to be something like this unit. Okay, so this is basically what it is. We are not gonna use this. In fact, what we will do is that we will say wall request. For request, that is fine, but for response we'll not use this. In fact, what we will do is that we'll call safe API call, and inside that we will be passing this. And now we need a response, proper response. So for that we will say that this is going to be an auth response. And also, if you get over here, it's giving you this, so make sure to make it a response so that we can get this from here. This is for all these three things, so that it's something like this. Okay, now we go back to our view model. Now this time you can see that now it's properly handling this. Now we don't need to do that. What we need to do is that we'll see when. So now over here, what we will do is that this is going to be if auth response dot this, if it's this, okay, else it's going to be an error. So something like this. So basically, if it's an API response dot success, which means now this is basically a success case, now you can directly use that and call that data dot token, right? Else what you can do is that you can add this. Now the thing is, for example, as I mentioned, response as API response dot error, which means now this is basically an error response. Error is equals to this, make it as this. Now we are gonna get a message out of it or a code out of it. Let's say let's get a code out of it, dot code, right? Now let's say if error not equals to null, this means now what you can do is that you can also add some sort of random conditioning, like when it's a 401, it's an invalid token and things like that. And if it's a generic, you can add this to this, which means now the 401 is an invalid token. Else, let's say if it's a 500, so let's say 500, that's a server error. 404 not found, and things like that. So basically now you can add all these kind of errors to this, and it will be able to handle that, right? So that's basically what it should do. And now we will be replacing it all these things, so we don't need this. In fact, I'm gonna say this for token, that is going to be response dot token. Provider is Google. On an error it will be something like this, that's for Google. And we can do the same thing for Facebook as well. So over here, where is the Facebook? This is the Facebook. and you can see that all these things are done. So what we can do is then we can just get rid of this, and in fact we can call directly something like this. And now this time, even if like there is a backend error, it will not fail. And to show you that, what I'll do is that I'll disable, like turn off my server. I'm just closing that server, which means now this time the app will not be able to access the server, and I'll run the code, and you will see that the system will not be failing, crashing. Okay, what just happened? Okay, I think we need to get this and get something like this, because uh, we made that change. So make sure to fix this in the sign in and the sign up as well. We'll get back to this as well. Uh, we also will be handling it properly from there rather than over here. Equals to true. Okay. So now let's just rerun this code. Hopefully this time it will work. Now previously when I clicked on Google, it was failing. So let me just click on Google this time, and since I have not, server is not running, so it will not be able to log me in. So let me just click on that Facebook. Went to the Facebook, it authenticated me, which was successfully, it should be done successfully, and now you can see it's failing. Previously it was crashing. Now we still have that Google crash in the app, and we need to fix that. So to fix that, what we will do is that we'll go to the base auth view model, and you can see we have this Google auth provider. And now over here, this is the portion that basically the request that we make, like over here. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna sign in. Where is the sign in used? I think it is in the base auth view model again. So over here, now over here, what we will do is that we'll say try catch a global, something like this now, and we'll get all these things inside it, so that let's say if there is any error, what we can do is we can just get rid of that, and e dot message dot to string, so that now what we did is that we basically enclosed it inside a try catch, which means now if there is like any sort of token issue or any sort of issue with this sign in function, it will not crash. In fact, it will be handled gracefully, right? And what we will do is that now let's just run this, and this time you'll see that it will be properly working. Now let me just open the app. Okay, now this time if I click on the Google, nothing happens. Even over here, you'll see that we directly get failed rather than getting that crash. Same goes over here and things like that. Now this fail looks like, doesn't look that good, to be honest, because it should be something else, like some sort of a dialog or a bottom navigation dialog or something like that, so that it looks good and we can uh, show it, and we will try to use that dialog in like different places, so that it should be easy to configure. So to basically implement that, what we will do is that we'll again get to our widgets, right? And inside widgets, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna create another composable, create a function dialog, basic dialog. It should have a title, that's a string. It should have a description, that is also a string, and the last one is going to be basically a on click function, which means that now there has been a click. And to implement that, what we need is that we need a column. I think it should be pretty much that. That is what it should be. That's this. We don't need this font size. We also don't need this font size because it's not available. Now what it is that basically it's a column that has this padding from both sides. Then it has a title that is bold in the black, and we have this text with dark gray, that is the description. Then we have a button that says OK. So we don't have an OK string, we can just add this OK. Okay, and we also need to do a couple of more things, like we'll be adding a round corner shape. So we'll just clip and make it a round corner shape with 16.dp so that it looks like this, right? And now this, so that is going to be normally, like by default it's going to be uh, this, and then that is going to be error description is equals to a string as well. Okay, now when you have these error cases like this, we have this, what you can do is that uh, set those functionalities, like set those error messages so that it's accessible. Okay, so I think what we can do is that we'll get over here, and on Google errors over here we'll say error is equals to message, and error description, let's say, is equals to Google sign in failed, right? Or let's make it something something like this. Okay, that's for Google. Same goes for Facebook. We're gonna say Facebook sign in fail, right? And now I'm just gonna copy these functionalities over here in the Google and Facebook error as well, so that you don't have to. Sign up event. I think we'll go one by one. Okay, and now get over here. Uh, Over here inside this going to be Google, Facebook, and this is going to be Google. So we have these things, and we'll make sure that when basically these are set, and it will be called. Okay, so now we have this basic dialog that we have created for the error case, right? So now let's just implement it in the auth screen. So to implement that dialog, bottom sheet dialog in the auth screen, what we will do is that I'll say wall sheet state is equals to, remember, modal bottom sheets, right? So this is an older implementation, so we'll just get rid of that. That's one thing. And it's also an opt-in, so make sure to opt in for the material experimental material 3 API. Second thing is you need a scope, and third in is that show dialog, that should be a true. Now that's one thing. Now you get into the bottom of that whole composable that you have, and inside that, this auth section, now what we need to do is that we will be creating a if show dialog, that's one thing. And then we will see bottom sheet, modal bottom sheet, right? On dismiss request, that's going to be show dialog as false, and sheet state is going to be sheet state, and this is going to be basic. Now over here, what we will do is that we'll say view model dot error, that's the title, and this is going to be view model dot error description. That's something we need to do, right? Now once you do that, this on click, what we will do is that what you can do, let's say scope dot launch, and now inside that we will be saying sheet state dot hide, and you can also say sheet state dot false. So I think that's one thing that should be enough. And now let's say uh, when user basically there is a failure event, what we will do is that we will add something over here. So I'll go over here into this navigation event, and now inside that, let's say show error dialog, which is the one that I need. And now over here inside this, that is going to be is error dialog, and now inside that we'll just make that to true, right? And I think that should be enough. Now let's just run the code and see. Okay, so now the app has run. Now let's see, click on the Google and it's gonna fail, and hopefully we'll get some dialog. Okay, so it's working. For Google, it's not failing, and why could be? Yeah, okay, I got the issue. The problem is that now inside this base view model, we on error case, let's say on the auth error view, let's say on Facebook error, we are just setting it to error and not passing the like and adding this and add this over here. So make sure to add it to the error cases. Now let's run this again. Okay, so now I've just run this again. Now this time when I click on Google, you'll see that now it shows me an error that says Google sign in field. It's definitely not looking good because of the background, but you can see that it's working. And when I click on OK, it goes down. You click on that, okay. So now we'll go over here in the sign in screen, and okay, and now you can see that this section over here is also not using the safe endpoint, right? So we'll do the same thing over here. We'll say res response is equals to safe API call, right? And let's just get all these things and paste it inside this. Now this is going to be pretty simple. We'll say when response like this, right? And we'll see something like this, not this, is going to be is API response dot success. If it's a success, else means it's a failure. So we'll do something like this. If it's success, we'll get all these things. We don't need this if condition. We just need this response dot I think that should be something like this. Okay, so that's gonna be for this. For the failure case, you can just set it this, and now over here you can set the error message to be, let's say, sign in failed, and error description can be based on the error message, whatever it is. So let's say we'll say wall error is equals to response as sign up event, sorry, is API response dot error. So if it's an error, this means now what do you need to do? Sorry. So now what you need to do is that you will say that based on that code, right? These are the default values. This is again not a case, it's going to be error. Now over here we will see just pass when error, and take that as, let's say, 400 will create error message as invalid credentials, make it 0. Okay, error is equals to this, and then error description is equals to, let's say, please enter correct details, right? And then you can also add more error codes as well. So that's pretty much how you should do for the sign up. Now we'll go to the sign in, and over here you'll see the same implementation over here. So I'm just gonna get rid of that again and call it as safe API call, pass that so that it doesn't fail. Now I'm gonna take some reference from the same response case. So I'll just get there, and over here we'll paste something like this, just so that, and add these navigations. We don't need this. And also I think this try catch is now unnecessary because everything is handled in the bottom. So we'll just get rid of that try catch as well. And now when you basically execute, everything should be working properly without any crashing, without any issues. So yeah, that was it for today. I hope you like the video, and I'll see you in the next video. So till then, have a great day. Happy coding. Bye. I hope you liked the video, and if you did, please like the video, comment down below, and share the video with your friends. For similar content, you can subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on Instagram, and if you have any queries, you can join my Discord server where we discuss different kind of things. So thank you so much for watching the video. Have a great day. Bye.